Krystal, welcome to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I'm so excited to be here. I mean, I loved chatting with you on our podcast, so I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to sit with you once more and chat a little bit more.
Yeah, I loved speaking with you as well. I chatted with my husband all weekend about it. I was like, this woman's amazing. So tell us, we want to know what's lighting up your world right now. What's getting you out of bed? What's keeping you going? What is like your passion?
Well, what's lighting me up is a little bit different from what's getting me out of bed. At the moment, I have 2 young kids, so it's usually, a little bit of whining in the back of my head that's getting me out of bed.
Yeah.
But right now, my passion is really just working with other women entrepreneurs. And I feel like I've been in this really great space, especially the last few days. We're currently in the process of, planning upcoming vendor fairs. I'm really into the small business space. And I've had a couple of calls yesterday for collaborations with other women too, which is something that absolutely fills my cup and
Yeah.
fuels my little motivation tank. So that's what's lighting my spark at the moment.
I love this. So what kind of collaborations, and going back even before that, how do you get into collaborations? I've had many women say to me, how do I even start? I would love to collaborate with other women, but I don't know how to get started.
That's such a great question. I love that question so much because there is that question in the air oftentimes with other women entrepreneurs, and they just don't know how to reach out. But it can be as so simple as to just send someone a DM on Instagram or shoot them an email and be like, hey, I love what you're doing. This is what I'm doing. This is how I could see us working together. What do you think? And it could be something as simple as that kind of a pitch. So right now, I recently launched our women-owned small business directory on our Empowered by Women website. So that launched in January of this year. And I'm working to do all these collaborations to really get the directory out there. It's my vision to expand nationwide and be the go-to place for communities to really easily find all of the women in their communities to shop with or collaborate with. So there's this really great woman that I've met who's in Dallas, Texas. She's someone that was also on my podcast. And I'm all about building genuine relationships. That's really why I created the Empowered by Women platform. It's not just about the numbers. It's about creating a genuine community. And I've always had this desire to get to know women on a much deeper level than just, clicking follow on Instagram and building those numbers. So I'm working with her. She is looking to host her own events, and we're trying to see where can we cross promote? Where can I actually physically go over to Texas and be a part of her events and, possibly do a speaking engagement? And how can I help to promote her podcast over on our end? So it's really about being in that collaborative environment and reaching out with not just the question of how can you help me, but what can I do for you? So being able to pitch who you are, but also what can you provide in exchange?
Yes. Do you think, I love all of that. And I'm all for it. I'm all for the collaboration. Has been a huge part of my life this year as well. And I love what you're doing. I actually pulled up the link yesterday to be a part of your directory, which we'll get done today. And I'm so excited about it because I think we both know women working together with other women it creates this force, this powerful force out there in the world. Do you think that women in a way are afraid to ask for that feedback, that help, that collaboration, because we've almost been told from society that to make it to the top, I'll put it in air quotes, you have to do this alone. You have to climb this ladder alone. You have to kick the ladder out so that you can get there first. I just feel like that is, for my generation, that is certainly the message we got. And asking for help meant you're weak. How much of that do you think comes into play with women entrepreneurs now? I mean, there's a lot of generations between us. So we're going to have a different mindset. And I would love your take on that.
So for me, I actually think the hesitation comes not from because, we're told if we ask for help, we're weak, but that we've been kind of made to be this caretaker for other people,
Mhm.
especially for moms. Moms know what to do no matter what.
Yeah.
Go to mom, they'll figure it out. So we've been like hardwired to just figure things out on our own, not because we're not allowed to ask for help, but just because that's the role of the woman, to take care of other people, to figure things out, to organize things or plan things, and just to take care of everything. And I feel like that's just kind of been naturally in our DNA. So it's not natural for us to expect someone else to help us in that respect. And then on the other hand, I think there's also, I don't know if it's necessarily a misconception, because there's definitely people out there, that kind of gatekeep all of their secrets and don't like when people reach out for help. So there's that fear that's been instilled in other women to not ask because, oh, like I figured it out all on my own. Like, you should be able to too. There's definitely those people,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate because I am exactly the same way as you. I think we should help each other. And that's really what's going to build your momentum when you start having all of these other people and you're all working together towards this similar vision or shared ambition. I don't know if you've heard of Elaine Welteroth. She
No.
was a Vogue editor-in-chief, and she's just this incredible businesswoman now. But I listened to her masterclass, and one thing that she said that really stuck with me is that it's not just about, getting a seat at the table. It's about getting your seat at the table and then pulling up another chair, opening up the
Mm.
doors, opening up the windows, letting other people join you at that table. And that's really how I try to move through my business moving forward, because, there's so much knowledge out there, and there's so much for everyone to grow together that it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to gatekeep and to hold it all in. Share the knowledge. Everyone has their own journey, and everyone's going to take that and tweak it and make it their own and make it something really special.
Yes.
So for anyone that's, worried about coming across those people, I definitely suggest to just keep asking, because there are so many women that are willing to help and want to help you. And we can't do it alone. Entrepreneurship is hard.
Yes, it is. This is the second time, even just this morning, that I have heard this message of entrepreneurship is hard. And a lot of the messages that we can hear if we tune into a different place is that it's easy, just do the work and everything falls into place. Well, over a 10-year period, consistently showing up every day, yes, that is true. But those days and those steps can be so hard some days. And it is okay to say, I'm having a hard day. I need some help. Could you pull that seat up at the table? And so go back to the statement you said, some women are afraid to ask because there are women who are going to say no. And
Mhm.
men, there are just people who are like that, they just are not going to help you. How would you coach a woman who has been through that? And it's like, I'm afraid to ask for help because they just totally let me have it and was like, what I know is what I know, and I'm not sharing it. How would you coach someone through that to say, but not everyone's like that. Let's do it again.
Mhm. I would let them know that not everyone's going to be your people.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to go through those no's in life. And you're going to have to go through those not so great people to find out who your real people are. And that's just a part of the process. That's a part of life. And that's really going to just help you in the long run find all these pieces that are really aligned to who you are and what you want in life.
Yeah.
And it's okay to accept the no's. Sometimes, they don't feel great in the moment. Sit with it, acknowledge your feelings. You don't have to brush it off and ignore it. You can sit with it and just be like, okay, that happens. that wasn't great, but I know that that person, whoever said no to me or whoever responded to me in the negative way that they did, that's not my person, but I know my people are out there. I know what I'm doing. I believe in my vision, and I know other people are out there that also believe in my vision and want to help me get there. So let me keep going in pursuit of that vision, backed with my why, and find my people.
That's beautiful. I love that phrase, my people. And it is so true. When you know that you have met your person or your persons, there's this bond that is unbreakable. And I think that it happens more with women than men. We're more willing to, maybe we're more willing to open up, or like you said, it's in our DNA because we are nurturers, just instinctively. So I would love to hear more about Empowered by Women. I would love to have you share more about why and what and how we can be involved.
Yeah, so it's really been this really beautiful natural progression, which is something that makes me so happy. So it really started when I launched my line of jewelry storage, which is called Book of Bijou. So it's a line of innovative jewelry storage. It's compact, it's discreet, and it has the functionality of a book, and it's designed to look like a coffee table book. Long story short, I just had a ton of jewelry and I was tired of looking at it all, but I couldn't find a great solution online. And I've always been a very DIY person. So I figured I would just make one for myself. And the more I thought about it, the more, excuse me. And the more I thought about it, the more I recognized the merit of the design. And then the next morning, I just hit the ground running. I made a prototype out of like a diaper box and like rubber bands and all these fun things. And yeah, so a year after I decided I was going to go into manufacturing, we launched for pre-orders. So that was in August of 2021. And launching that business, I went into it knowing I wanted to support other women. You know, when I was selling jewelry, I had this community of really incredible and inspiring women and ambitious women, and I fed off their energy and loved it so much that I wanted to recreate it now going into Book of Bijou. But with Book of Bijou, I didn't want to just, occasionally sprinkle in all this woman empowerment stuff. I loved it so much that I wanted to create a separate platform for it. So that is when we expanded into Empowered by Women. And that was at the beginning of 2022. So it really did start with all those collaborations like what we were talking about. Since I was selling a jewelry organizer, I started doing giveaways with other women that owned jewelry businesses, since we didn't manufacture or sell our own jewelry. So it was a win-win. And then, like I said, I wanted to get to know these women more. So that's when we started doing our interviews and, sharing that with the world, because oftentimes we're buying from these brands, but we don't know the women or the stories behind it. And that's really where the power is, right? The stories
Yes.
behind the brands. And then from there, I said, okay, like what else can I do with these women? I just love being in this space. And I had been working with them virtually, but I was like, how do I get them in person? And how do I be surrounded by them in person? And that's when we held our first women's empowerment market, which was a vendor fair last May. And we're set to host our second annual women's empowerment market this coming May. To just be surrounded again in person by all this incredible energy, all of this amazing passion, and all these beautiful little things that everyone has created just, out of their own hearts and passion and ambition, which is amazing.
Wow. So, I mean, there's so much in there in
Oh,
that
I know.
section. There's so much
You
in
get to
there.
the directorate, yeah.
So if someone is listening and they're saying, okay, so you had this idea for this amazing way to store jewelry, and
Mhm.
then so you design this prototype out of diaper boxes and rubber bands, which just blows my mind, and then decided to go in production. So if someone is listening, watching, and saying, okay, boy, that sounds amazing, and I have this great idea, how do I even find someone to go? How do I even think about producing? What are those steps? What advice would you give them? Where would they start?
It's all about being willing to ask the questions. you don't know what you don't know. So, we go to everyone's best friend, Google, someone to produce my product. I probably called like 5 to 10 just random places that I saw listed on Google. A lot of them were like event help type things where you kind of like sell your idea and they produce it and sell it for you. And I was like, no, I really want to be involved in the process. So I kept calling and I was kind of trying to find the right fit just based on like what that conversation felt like and what they were trying to get out of me. And I knew that I wanted to find someone that would make it for me, that I could really be a part of the process. So I kept calling until I found someone. And I actually contacted one business, I can't remember what they're called, but the guy that worked there that I called, he knew someone else that had been a part of manufacturing a similar product. So I think the universe is just really great at putting the right people in front of you when you're willing to put your vision out there.
Yes.
And so he gave me the number of someone else, and that person gave me the number of someone else. And then I started working with my first manufacturer.
Wow. I love this. And I love that you said that right at the beginning. We don't know what we don't know. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of us feel like I don't know how to find the information and I should know it. And it just stops us in our tracks rather than you said, I picked up the phone and I started calling. And I've heard it said that everything we need is 1 or 2 relationships away. Just get yourself out there,
Absolutely.
right? And talk to people. Yeah. Take that and run with it. I would love to hear your take on that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know, it's been incredible. And when you find those relationships, this light is starting to get crazy on me. But when you find those relationships, hold on to them and then keep building on it. And it's not something that just has to be like one and done. Relationships build just as your
Yes.
vision will build, and you want to keep finding ways to collaborate, keep finding ways to utilize each other's relationships. And that's really how your network is going to grow. And I'm 100% a believer that your network is your net worth. So, finding
Mm.
those people, holding on to those people, and then doing what we're wired to do, nurture those relationships, right? And see where the growth is.
Yeah. Your network is your net worth. I love that. I haven't heard that in quite a while. So thank you for that reminder. And you said that you did this event last May and you have another one coming up. The importance of networking
Mhm.
is it's what you just said. It is your net worth, getting out there and getting to know other people, getting to know other women, talking to them. So I love to go to vendor events. I love to walk around and talk to every single person that is there because they have a story behind why they're doing what they're doing. And the
Mhm.
stories are amazing.
Mhm.
So let's say someone comes to you and says, Krystal, this all sounds awesome. And I'd love to be a part of Empowered by Women, but man, I'm not a networker. I don't talk to people. I don't do this. What do you say to them?
I think the funny thing is that the people that tend to feel that way have this impression that everyone else around them is this really confident, outgoing person. But more often than not, majority of those women feel the exact same way, and they would love to build these connections and they would love to get the conversation started, but they just don't know how.
Yes.
So, you know, you really do need to get comfortable getting uncomfortable and push yourself to go to these events. There's so many incredible networking events out there. And it could just be simple as, starting off very slowly, saying, hi, my name is Krystal. This is what I do. Like, I'd love for you to check it out. And if that's too much for you, you hand them your business card, walk away. Oof, I did that. And
Yes.
then, the next time, try to expand the conversation a little bit further. Like, oh, my name is Krystal. This is what I do. Like, what do you do? Oh, great. Can I have your business card? If that was enough for you, cool, thanks. Take it back, walk away, collect yourself, and then try again next time and keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That is where the growth lies. And I think it's so important to be able to do that as an entrepreneur. You really
Yeah.
do have to push your boundaries, day in, day out.
Yeah. And the payback is exponential when you do that. It just,
100%.
oh, it grows so fast. I remember one of my very first networking events. I was terrified to go. It was a women's event. I really did rely on my husband a lot. I realized when I would go to events like marketing events, he would come and he just talks to people. He talks to anybody. And one time he said to me, you need to start going alone because you're not talking to people. You're letting me do all the talking. And so this event I went to, I was just so uneasy. And I walked in the door. I didn't know anybody. I'm just kind of looking around and I knew nobody there. And there was another woman who had just walked through the food line and she saw me and she came over to me and she said, "Are you as nervous as I am?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, so nervous." And we ended up sitting down and talking, and they literally had to ask us to leave because the entire event had been shut down, torn down, and we were still sitting there talking. They were like, we need to lock the doors. We still, years and years and years later, we have worked together in each other's businesses. We promote each other. It has been the most amazing relationship that would never have happened if both of us hadn't stepped out of a comfort zone and gone to that event. And that's how it happens.
Yeah. And
Right?
that's exactly what I was saying, right? You both felt really uncomfortable and
Yes.
you both felt like you were in this room full of all these other outgoing people, but there you were, kind of
Yeah.
like keeping to yourself. But once you allowed each other to open up to each other, you realized, oh, this is my person. Like I found someone that I could really relate to and resonate with. And it's not always
Yes.
going to be like that. The
No.
last networking event I went to, the first person I talked to, the conversation was kind of, dry and dull, and it was hard to keep going. So I found my way to gracefully get out of that. But then the very next conversation I had, complete 180. Oh my God, like we were talking nonstop and there was so much passion between what we were both saying.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of networking, finding all of those little
Yes.
gems and relationships in this crowd of people.
Yeah. And it's so, I love that you brought this part up because it's so important to get out there and try and just keep trying and just keep trying because your people are there. And it might not be the first person. It might not be the second person. You might have to go through 10 or 20 people before you find your person, but it is so worth it.
Mhm.
It's so worth it in
So,
your growth.
yeah.
You are
And
amazing, right? Yeah, go
you
ahead. I'm
are
sorry.
amazing.
No, you finish your sentence. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, the more no's you get, the more comfortable
Yeah.
you'll get doing it too. So, that's really where the confidence starts to build. And eventually you'll have done it 1,000 times. You might never get to that point where it doesn't bother you at all.
Mhm.
But eventually it'll be, like second nature to just go up and
Yes.
introduce yourself and start the conversation.
Yeah. And it takes practice like everything else.
Mhm.
Value people, love people, and you can do this. You can
Yeah,
do this.
100%. Yeah. I
I,
think
I'm
being,
just,
I think being very authentic and vulnerable
Mhm.
is what's really going to make that connection what it needs to be.
Yes.
Not being so rigid and very fact-based, this, and this. Okay, I got all my talking points out of the way, but just really letting yourself, who you genuinely and inherently are, shine through. That's when the conversations and the relationships really start to be something truly special.
Hmm. Very true. I am empowered by what you do. I love what you do. I wish I lived on the same coast as you. I would be walking
Thank
around
you,
that
Jayla.
vendor event, like just supporting and loving on that. Hey, you never know. I might just hop on a plane and fly across the country. It'd be so worth it to meet you in
I love it.
person.
I actually did make a really great connection with a business owner out in Missouri. And she did fly out for our first women's empowerment market. She was one of our guest speakers. She was a vendor. And then she did a little birthday celebration thing out here. So that's really how powerful, just starting that conversation can be.
Yes, it's amazing. And I love the West Coast. So keep me in mind, Krystal.
I will.
I'm amazed that our time went so fast. I can't believe it. But
I know.
before we let you go, we want to know a few things from you. So number one, your version of your Pow Pow shoes.
I love this question. It's so cute.
Thanks.
So if anyone knows me, even just a little bit, my reputation precedes me because especially with my day job, when we were working in the building before COVID and before teleworking, everyone knew me as the girl with heels. So I don't have a specific heel in mind. I just love fashion and I love a great outfit that makes me feel very just bold and confident.
Yes.
There were a few people that thought I was management just based on the way that I dressed. But just being able to look good and then embody that confidence based on the clothes that you're wearing
Yeah.
is incredible. And it's so powerful. And I think people underestimate like how that little effort you put into yourself in the morning really carries throughout your day. But at the same time, I think it's not even just the shoes. I'm going to throw a little metaphor at you. So, in Cinderella, when the prince was putting on Cinderella's glass slipper, it's kind of like that for my Pow Pow shoes. It's not just the shoes, but instead of the prince, trying to make me his wife or whatever it was he was trying to do, it's all of these women that have been surrounding themselves around me. And it's that community of women that are essentially helping to put these shoes on me or giving me that voice and that platform to almost
Yes.
represent them or to be that that central point that connects them all and allowing for them to want to be on our Women Owned Small Business directory. Like that means so much to me because it really does feel like they're allowing me to give them that voice
Yes.
and to represent them. And that's really what gives the Pow Pow shoes that magical little touch.
Yes. Oh, this is perfect. You said that so perfectly. And you're so right. You are so right. It is not, there's so much more to it than just slipping your foot into a shoe. It's that power that you bring to it and that confidence. And we garner so much of that from each other. So much. I love that. So give us, if you would, a journal prompt that we could take away from today's episode.
Yes. So my journal prompt is going to be to write down 10 reasons why you deserve all of the things that you want out of life.
I'm
My
writing it
whole
down right
thing,
now. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
the whole thing is that I really want to just be a role model, for my two daughters, to let them know that they're capable and worthy of creating a life that they love, but then also being that role model for other women that are out there and constantly doubting themselves because everyone has something to bring to the table and everyone is so worthy of creating a life they love and that they're proud of. And oftentimes we get that imposter syndrome starts creeping in, right? Like, why me? Like, why do I deserve this? Why would anyone want to shop with me?
Yeah.
You're amazing. All of you that are listening or watching, tuning in, you're amazing and you are so deserving of it. And we need to remind ourselves of all of those reasons why we deserve it.
That is
So
powerful.
it can be as simple as, I am kind. I take care of my family. I make people laugh. And for the people that have had, more struggles in their lifetime, you can turn all of those hardships into reasons why you are deserving. Maybe you struggled with substance abuse in the past, the first thing that just comes to mind. Look at where you are now. You're here trying to make something of yourself. And that in and of itself is what makes you deserving of all the things that you want.
Yes. Oh, that's so powerful. I can't wait to do this. I'm actually going to do it on my whiteboard so I can see it all the time. Don't even have to open up a journal. I'm just doing it right on the whiteboard. That's a great, great journal prompt. Thank you. Where can we find you? Where can we tap into you and Empowered by Women and get to know you better?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm very active. So Book of Bijou is our jewelry storage line. So book like a book you read, bijou is French for jewelry. And then Empowered by Women is our community platform. Women is spelled WMN. Our women-owned small business directory is on empoweredbywomen.com. And then we also have BOOKofBIJOUX.com. But if you want to reach out to me, just, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm very active on there. And like I said, I love really creating all of these genuine relationships. So I would love to chat.
Oh, and I'm going to say Krystal means that. Reach out to her. This is create this relationship. There might just be a collaboration there that you just don't know about. So reach out. I'm going to link all of these, and so you can just go to the show notes, click it, and get to know Krystal better. I am amazed by you. I think you're just one of the most fabulous women I've ever met in my life. Thank you for hanging out with us today. And I can't wait to have you back. I know there's so much more. There's so much more we could dig deep into. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Krystal.
Carrie, that means so much to me, because I am just so in awe of you and who you are. And, constantly when I'm running into people, I'm like, oh my God, get their names, Krystal, because of our conversation from our own podcast. So you've inspired me so much, and I absolutely would love to chat more in the future.
Yes. Thank you, Krystal.